Hello and welcome to What a Movie? ? My name is JJ and I'm the head of production at Ice Block. It's a small production company based in Tokyo. And growing up, I loved movies. So when it came time to go to college, I went to film school. And after graduating, I came to Japan and started making movies here. And that's my full-time job now, is making films. Now, growing up, film was the thing I loved the most. Watching films, and then I think it was around 11 or 12 or 13 maybe when I got my first camera, and from then it was making films, and it's just a pure joy. Photography, cinematography, editing, it's all wonderful. It's pretty much all I thought about growing up. It's all my friends and I talked about when we were growing up and in college and after college, and now that we're adults, it was the focus and always was the focus of our lives. The woman I married, Swinky, did not have the same experience growing up. She was tangentially interested in movies. She knew that they were entertaining, but she would watch them in passing, not really focus on how they were made and trying to make her own. So, Swinky, hello.
Hi.
Welcome. She's actually here in the room. We were just doing that introduction. And so, you grew up in Nairobi.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, we had a couple of video cassettes in the house. There was Hello Dolly, Sound of Music, and the Fox. After the Fox.
Peter Sellers.
Yes. And one other one. Oh, it was Top of the Pops, a recording of Top of the Pops, which was a European countdown program.
So you had one episode of Top of the Pops.
Something like that.
All right.
Maybe 2 or 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what we discovered is that there were a lot of movies you haven't seen that were a major, major part of my childhood. You'd never seen Ghostbusters. You'd never seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You'd never seen any Tim Burton movie that I know about.
No.
I mean, we don't even have to go by titles. You had never seen a Hitchcock film. You had never seen a Billy Wilder film. You had never seen a black and white film.
Wait, is the Great Muppet Caper Ted Burton?
A Tim Burton film? The
Tim
Great
Burton?
Muppet Caper? No.
Okay,
No, The Great
all right.
Muppet Caper is not a Tim Burton film. Are you just going to name films hoping they were directed by Tim Burton?
No, the ones that we had in the house.
Okay, no. Hello Dolly was also not a Tim Burton
Okay,
film.
I'll let you keep going.
You had not seen any silent films.
No. Why? Why would I?
Because they're really good?
Okay, I didn't know that at the time.
You still... What haven't you seen yet? Well, anyway. This brings us to the concept of this podcast. And what I discovered in talking to you about movies is that I loved... Before we'd watch a movie that you'd never seen, I really enjoyed asking you what you expected it to be about. Because some of these were really culturally ubiquitous. I couldn't imagine not knowing how they end. Terminator 2, for example. You'd never seen Terminator 2 when we watched it.
I only knew the scene where he goes down in the lava with his thumb up.
That is what happened. That is accurate. But the idea, the Terminator 2 growing up, that was a movie I watched about once a week. So to watch it with you, I kind of got to see the movie through new eyes and had a wonderful experience watching it because you'd never seen it before. So what we're doing for this podcast is I'll give you the title of a movie.
Okay.
Ask you what you think it's about. If I haven't seen it either, I'll also throw out a guess as to what I expect it to be about. Some kind of plot summary. Most of the films we'll do I have already seen just because I've seen a lot of films. There are considerable films I haven't seen, especially classics that I haven't watched yet, so we'll watch some of those too.
Okay.
But let's get right into it. I'll give you the title of tonight's movie, who's in it. You make your best guess as to what's going to happen. I haven't seen this, so I'm going to toss out a guess.
Okay.
And then we'll watch the movie and check how accurate or inaccurate we were. So, tonight's movie is starring Hugh Grant and Sandra Bullock, and the title is 2 Weeks Notice.
2 weeks notice. You give 2 weeks notice when you're about to leave work, to leave a job, about to quit. So I'm guessing Hugh Grant has to leave his job, and Sandra Bullock is his wife, and she doesn't know.
That he's given his 2 weeks notice?
That he's been given 2 weeks notice.
Oh, he's getting fired.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a really good job. They live a nice life. Yeah.
So what happens?
So what happens is, throughout the movie, is it a comedy?
I think we can probably assume it's a romantic comedy.
right?
If it's Hugh Grant and
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock, yeah, it's probably a romantic comedy.
But she does dark movies these days too. Like that space one.
Gravity?
Gravity.
Yes. But Hugh Grant was not the other person on the satellite.
Okay. So he has to cover up. She's used to spending a lot of money, and he has to cover up. And throughout the movie, it's just him not being honest. And then at the end of the movie, he's honest, and he tells her that he's poor, and she stays with him. But then just when you think everything has gone wrong, he gets another job. And it's even better than the other one. Yeah.
All right, that sounds like a fair enough prediction. Here's my guess. My guess was that Sandra Bullock is a high-level something or other, maybe a lawyer or a magazine editor or an architect or one of the generic Hollywood movie jobs. She wants to quit. And of course she's a loser in love. She just can't get a man. She wants to quit, so she puts in her 2 weeks notice. The company hires her replacement, Hugh Grant, and then she starts falling in love with him. And she has to train him. So my guess is that she will fall in love with him as she's training him to replace her. And then how could she quit or something? I don't know if
they end up taking over the company together.
Something like that. So, and then they fall in love, or maybe they start their own firm together, their own lawyer firm or magazine, or that's my best guess for what 2 weeks.
Okay, yours makes more sense.
Yours makes pretty much sense too. I imagine we're both completely wrong, but why don't we take a look at the film and see how accurate or inaccurate we were?
Yay! I love movies.
I'm so sorry. My aunt is dying, and it's
Again?
Why don't you please continue?
Meet Lucy Kelson.
Hey, that's my coffee, you jerk!
Oh, sir, I'm so sorry. See, I thought you were needy.
She has a law degree from Harvard.
You're my brilliant chief counsel who's always honest with me.
Well, then, honestly, I think you are the most selfish human being on the planet.
Well, that's just silly. Have you met everyone on the planet?
And an eccentric billionaire boss.
Congratulations on the baby.
What baby?
Maybe you should check with me before you talk.
What baby?
Who's driving her to the edge.
Hello?
I just felt like a bit of a chitter-chat.
You are pathetic.
This holiday season, the only way to get noticed
I'm not here to pick out a wife or to pick out your clothes. Oh, sorry.
is to give notice.
Consider this my 2 weeks' notice.
You're serious?
Should I stay or should I go?
You owe me 3 more years, or I can stop you working anywhere else.
Just this morning, the attorney who was planning to quit reconsidered.
What did Mr. Wade call?
Mr. Wade never called.
When?
Maybe an hour ago.
Make sure you massage his cloven hoof.
Does I'm suddenly feeling a pain in my...
Somebody asked me something.
Name all the Supreme Court justices.
Thomas, Ginsburg, Scalia, Stevens, Kennedy, Rehnquist, Souter, Breyer, O'Connor. Is that right?
How should I know?
But the hardest thing about leaving
There's some interesting prospects for my replacement.
It's got to be a woman.
Oh, what a surprise.
It's not a sex thing. We never had sex.
I've been meaning to thank you for that.
is letting go.
Thank you for the job. You're my role model.
From Warner Brothers Pictures comes a comedy about 2 weeks
George just asked me to go to the benefit with him tonight.
Oh,
between two people.
We're not insane or anything, but my friend needs to use a bathroom. I'll give you $100.
1,000.
Too close
Try to be the person that you could be.
Why don't you go and be the person you're supposed to be?
to know what's happening to them.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Sandra Bullock, Hugh Grant.
She's not interested in money or superficial flattery or cheap glamour, so, what would I bring to the relationship?
2 weeks' notice.
She looks so peaceful when she's asleep, like a doll.
A doll with a sinus problem.
So, what was that movie about?
It was not about them having been a married couple. It was Hugh Grant is a billionaire. but he's the second born.
Did you notice that for a billionaire, his offices were really shoddy?
Yeah.
Like the office level, like the show The Office level shoddy offices.
Yes.
For
And he was at work a lot. I don't imagine billionaires being at their offices or at work.
But it wasn't just at work. He was hanging out at the office a lot.
Yeah, like he knows where the tea room is or where the printer is.
No, not just hanging, like just hanging out, like strolling around, hanging out.
Not really working or doing anything.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
That he just happened to be around all the time.
But my predictions were a little bit accurate. Lawyer. But that's not fair because in romantic comedies, there are 3 jobs. It's either lawyer, magazine editor, or architect. Magazine editor and architect are not real jobs. No offense to the magazine editors and architects out there, but how they're depicted in romantic comedies it's just not how it works anymore. Lawyer, Harvard, got that much. Falling in love over the 2 weeks notice. I thought it would be Hugh Grant that she was training, but she had to train someone else, her replacement. I got some elements. I got some elements right.
You got many more elements right than I did, but that's normal.
That's normal. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So what else did you think? What struck you?
I didn't understand why there was that black character, that guy.
Yes, in the film, Hugh Grant has a black friend, who exists for no reason.
Is he his chauffeur or his butler or just a friend from college who happens to be American? And if so, why isn't he rich like Hugh Grant? And why is he always doing... Why are they playing chess?
I was taking notes throughout the film, and chess ? Was one of the notes I took. Where did that come from? Hugh Grant was clearly not a chess enthusiast. That was in stark contrast to his character. And then to suddenly have that scene out of nowhere, where him and his black... Hugh Grant moved in very strange circles in this film. Like he was buddy chums with Donald Trump, and he was buddy chums with the black guy who was never explained. Yeah. He was not a lawyer. He was just...
But I think what... It was sort of explained that he's always number 2, that he's always second best. His brother's in charge. He just happens to be the face of the company. And Sandra Bullock was challenging him to be the best version of himself, not just to be second fiddle to his brother. So I do think that he was kind of, trying to, not protest, but...
Hugh Grant?
Yeah.
Okay.
But just... that was his way of affirming himself.
Was to have one black friend?
No. Was to move in different circles. Was to move in different circles.
Okay.
Yeah, and not just, among the billionaires.
That's very, very sweet of you. I didn't read it that way.
Really?
I just thought it was sloppy writing.
Oh, that they were just plunking the black characters here and there.
Well, I felt like more like they were just plunking Hugh Grant here and there.
Oh.
That he was, and clearly they were just plunking Donald Trump because they had some reason to plunk him there.
Yeah.
They must have had the access. That part did not seem essential to the story in any way.
No, but he's in real estate, and Wade was in real estate. Hugh Grant's character.
Yeah, but what I mean is the filmmakers had Donald Trump, so they put him in a scene. That didn't have to be Donald Trump. In fact, that scene didn't have to be there at all.
Yeah.
It had no effect on the plot. He said he was going to go hit on Hugh Grant's new assistant, which went nowhere.
No. He wanted to hit on
Sandra Bullock?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes it.
Now that she's not working for you anymore, I think I'm going to get her.
Oh, okay. I thought he was trying to
like
pluck the Sandra Bullock's replacement.
No.
Okay.
I don't think
no.
so. Yeah.
What else? What else was on your mind during that film?
They really milked that joke about the lady who was expecting.
Yeah.
I think they overdid it. When they brought it back toward the end, it just didn't make sense. Like, okay, fine. So he made a mistake. Leave him alone.
Well, she was sassy, and she was black, and she was big.
I think these stock characters are just... I think I've seen enough of them to be able to spot them, especially if they're black, because that's what I notice. Because they're so rare when they come on.
I don't see colors.
Oh, really?
I'm above that.
Oh, really, Jesse?
There was a black person. I couldn't tell if they were black, white, Asian. No idea.
No, when they bring them
idea.
in and they don't make any difference in the plot, or they are not contributing anything or taking anything out. It stands out for me.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I agree. Since starting to date you and marrying you, it becomes more and more abrasive every time I see a film where they just splash a black guy in.
Yeah.
I want to finish that sentence with because blah 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 blah, but there's no reason.
No.
The Hugh Grant's black friend had no bearing on the plot.
No.
They never explained who he was, why he was there, why they were friends. It was There's a term in the nightclub community from back in my wilder days. It's called a pity fuck.
Okay, so that's what it feels like.
Yeah,
that's the impression.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you got to give the black community the pity fuck. Some character somewhere in the film that has just fucking put a black person in. Like that's the feeling that you get when you're watching these. Let's talk about some good points. Were there any? You enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I love romantic comedies. You never like to watch them with me, so I'm really happy that this is the one we watched together.
Here's the thing. We were watching Batman the other night. I have to suspend disbelief more for a Hugh Grant, Sandra Bullock film than I do for Batman.
Really?
Like, that's how absurd these situations are in my mind. I know, like, for example, the amounts of food she ate in this film. There's, like, she eats because she's nervous.
Eater, yeah.
Then there's like, okay, there's an amount of food that if you ate it, you would become overweight. She blazed past that amount of food, and the amounts of food she was eating were murderous amounts. Like, you cannot survive. It's just too much for it to be funny to me.
Yeah.
It was too. You saw the cake they were eating. It was like they each had half a cake that they were eating. It was obscene portions of food. Like ha 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 ha.
Yeah. My favorite character was maybe the mom, Sandra Bullock's mom. Her stare just stays with you. I like the way she was frowning. She was so idealistic.
That was a good scene.
Yeah.
That one I enjoyed. Let's talk about Hugh Grant for a minute.
Oh, okay.
How good is he?
I really like him. He's great. It's unfortunate what he was caught doing, but I think he's a great actor. And he makes me want to be with someone like him.
I'm happy to hear that.
No, I mean in a movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
Wait, what did he
Also,
get?
he's dumb.
He's in this film?
In this film, he's very dumb.
There's
But we know why. It's because he has low self-esteem and he doesn't think he's that good.
There's a phenomenon in romantic comedies, and this is also very hard for me to watch and to stomach, and that is that the characters are so dumb that it strains credulity that they can survive on Earth. How can I say this without being offensive? It's like Asperger's is hilarious in romantic comedies. Autism is hilarious. Like, the guy is always autistic in weird ways. That's how it feels to me, and that you're supposed to be chuckling along.
Yeah.
But Hugh Grant's behavior, calling her at 2 a.m. to have her negotiate him sleeping with someone, like, this is sociopathic behavior. This is not behavior I can identify as human behavior. It's a little too terrifying for me. When he can't decide what kind of shirt to wear without her help. It's really not funny to me.
She has to choose everything for him.
That type of behavior is not hilarious. I don't like. Do you want to get into that?
That kind of behavior?
No. I mean that this is how I feel in my family, that there are strains of mild autism or that kind of thinking and that kind of living.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel funny when you're living it. So watching Hugh Grant be very, very cute while he does it. And Hugh Grant is awesome. The dude is like a tank full of charisma that can bring anything to life for me.
Oh yeah.
But the autism and the Asperger's, it's not funny to me. But it's this inherent trope of romantic comedies.
But they have such little time to deliver so much information and form these opinions in your head as the viewer without you turning it off or moving along or writing a bad review. They really have to get the point across.
Yeah.
And there's the fine line between, absurdity and...
Well, yeah. He can't just be indecisive. He has to be hyper indecisive, or you don't have comedy.
Yeah.
He can't just be clingy. He has to be hyper clingy, or you don't have comedy. It's exhausting.
It's extreme.
For me.
If you've watched many romantic comedies and studied them, it is. But if you're watching these movies in passing and they're just for entertainment, no, it's not a problem at all. Just like, oh wait, that's happening. Scrub.
That's a big difference between you and me, and why I thought this might be fun to have these conversations is because I don't watch movies for fun, I guess. And you do, so you end up having a lot more fun while you watch them.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking at Sandra Bullock and I'm thinking, oh wait, in the beginning she was only wearing flat shoes and now she's wearing these high heels. Oh, nice. She's walking nice. That dress really looks nice on her.
I think it's more like how you feel about the black character. Like, really, are we doing this again in the same way as how I feel about the OCD, autistic is hilarious kind of thing, tropes we see again and again in romantic comedies.
Yeah.
So did this exceed your expectations?
No. It was... Wait, what were you expecting?
That's a glowing review.
No, it didn't exceed my... It's a sweet story. The lady at the end, the redhead, was very annoying.
That was something I wanted to talk to you about. That there's this thing in movies, like... We have our opinions about Ghostbusters. I don't want to get into that entirely. But do you remember the EPA guy, the Environmental Protection Agency, who wanted to shut the Ghostbusters down because they weren't following any waste management codes? They hadn't registered any of their nuclear equipment with the city.
Yeah.
In that movie, they tried to paint the EPA guy as a villain. But he's really not doing anything that bad. The redhead girl that you hated reminded me a lot of that character. Like, we hate her because that's the thing that...
No, because she's slimy and she's a gold digger. And from the minute she walked in, she was all obsequious and just throwing herself at his feet because he's rich. And she's all fawning over him. Yeah, look at me. Smiling with all her teeth. Jeez. Bew.
You really hated her.
She was just annoying. I could see right through her. And that's when I thought, okay, this guy's really dumb. He must have really low self-esteem to fall for this thing.
I don't think you've ever been a guy.
Okay, fine. So she has boobs and nice eyes and hair that bounces.
I don't think you've ever been a guy.
I didn't like her. I like Sandra Bullock because she uses her head. This girl just uses her boobs. She's like, that's my favorite kind of jazz. Strip jazz, yeah. Let's get some beer, yeah. Let's get some wine, yeah.
She said some of those things, but not quite in that way. Yeah, she...
Wait, sorry, was this something you had to say about her? You seemed like you wanted to talk about her.
She was villainous within the needs of the story, but not that cunning or clever.
Okay, clever, no, but she was cunning and sly and crafty. She looked at Hugh Grant and she knew why she wanted to work there. And she's all like, oh, so I'm free tonight. Oh, this young country girl from Wisconsin would really love to come to that kind of party.
I have a question, if I may.
Yeah.
If I may interrupt.
Yes.
Why is Hugh Grant not the guilty party in
No,
this
he's
triangle.
dumb. I said he's dumb.
He
saw boobs, nice hair.
But how is he not the villain in this? He did not have to play strip chess with her. He invited her up to the room.
But she was throwing herself at him.
Gold digger or not, this isn't an uncommon thing in his life. If he hasn't learned how to navigate a gold digger, that's really on him.
Well, they suggested that he'd been married many times, so I guess he's been dealing with gold diggers all along.
But not getting any wiser. He was the one at fault. He was getting roped in for the same old trick.
True. But still, I didn't like her character. I don't like such people in real life either.
Fair enough.
And yes, the intensity is turned up. So if you're gonna hate a character, you're gonna hate them instantly and intensely.
Yeah, but that was my problem. Was I didn't actually hate her. I disliked her because the story said, the story was behaving as if she was supposed to be hated, because Sandra Bullock hated her.
Just from the really okay. Now we just people are different.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way she was throwing herself at him.
I would have played strip chess if she had invited me. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
totally would have been down for that.
Okay.
And I would have voluntarily lost. I would have. Oh, oops! Is that my king out in the middle of the field with no protection? Okay, I better take my pants off.
Okay.
That's what
I can accept.
That's what I'm trying to say.
All right.
That's all.
You're silly.
All right. So, anything else? Any closing comments?
Closing comments about 2 weeks' notice. Yeah, I was way off base, but I'm glad. I think this is one of those movies I've kind of seen someone watching, but I haven't watched myself. So it was nice to see it, and I was moved. I liked it. I liked the emotions in the movie, and that Sandra Bullock produced it doesn't surprise me at all. She seems like someone who's in touch with her emotions.
Gravity or 2 weeks' notice, which was a better film?
Oh, Gravity.
Oh, okay. Well, there we are. I agree with you 100%.
What? Yeah. 2 weeks' notice. I think if I'm not an editor, but I think there were some scenes that they could have done away with. And also, what they were doing in the trailer was different from what they were doing in the movie.
Yes. Many of the trailer scenes were very different from the final movie scenes.
Yeah, like the lines might be the same, but the setting is different. They're wearing different things.
Yes. Also, I am pretty sure in the trailer, I mean, she fell down and got hit with things a lot in the movie, but the trailer had like twice as many shots of Sandra Bullock taking a tumble or getting smacked with something or dropping something. Is that funny?
Wait, no.
Okay.
Did miscongeniality. Miscongeniality.
That's my favorite movie about a gelatinous blob.
Miscongeniality.
Yes, Miscongeniality.
When did Miscongeniality come out?
When did Miscongeniality come out?
Was it before or after this one? Because
hit me. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I think it's just in the collective conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Sandra Bullock is clumsy and she's a klutz and she falls over herself, and then in the end she's transformed into this knockout woman.
Miscongeniality came out in 2000, 2 years before this film did.
Okay. So I think she was still riding on that wave where it's okay for her to be awkward.
Yes. And I mean, that was kind of her stock in trade, was falling over and getting hit with things. And
yeah.
Starting out rough and tumble and ending up glamorous and shocking everyone when she did that.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? You totally set me off track.
Sorry. The helicopters?
The helicopters. Yes, scenes like that where Hugh Grant lands a helicopter in the Five and Dime parking lot just because he can. Those are scenes where I have to suspend my disbelief beyond what is humanly possible.
Oh, really? But Donald Trump just recently...
Donald Trump?
Oh, Donald Trump. Oh, gosh. Please cut that out.
You were born for radio, Swinky.
Donald...
Tell me all about Donald Trump.
Donald Trump landed his helicopter at the Iowa State Fair.
Mm-hmm. Did he get clearance for that first?
I guess so. But he's Donald Trump.
He is indeed.
So he can do anything he wants. When you're a 1%er, you can do whatever you want.
You can. You can even have a shoddy little office with 10 employees.
Yeah. Why did they go back to her place? I don't understand.
Wait, which... Oh, why did Hugh Grant? Because he quit his job.
Yeah, but he said that he would have to share helicopter with someone else. So he is still rich.
Well, he's still blazingly rich. That's another thing that did not track in that film, that only works in movie logic, is Sandra Bullock couldn't get another job as a lawyer. After you've been a lawyer for... Well, this is the problem. Was Hugh Grant actually a multi-bajillionaire, buddies with Donald Trump level rich, or was he the owner of a law firm that employed about 10 people and had a single office on one floor? But he owned the hotel as well.
Yeah, he's a
multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
So if you've been a lawyer for one billionaire, you can be a lawyer for another billionaire. And if she's as good a lawyer as the story said she was, yes, he called every lawyer in New York and told, but that's not how the world works. It's easier for me to believe that Batman exists.
Really?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm not saying that I believe Batman exists. I'm just
very different.
I just like it, and not a huge gap, but just a little less suspension of disbelief in a Batman film than in a Hugh Grant film for me.
Really?
Yes.
Actually, I want to watch the rest of that Batman. The Dark Knight Returns.
No, just The Dark Knight.
Okay.
The Dark Knight Rises is yeah.
It's bad?
That's a film for another day.
Okay.
All right
then.
Anything else? Final words? Closing comments?
Closing comments were
Anything you want to plug
them.
before we wrap up? Any shows coming up?
Check out my YouTube channel.
All right, I don't think we have time to give people the actual address, so they'll figure it out.
Butterfly Swinky.
Sorry, you didn't get it in. It was under the wire.
Really?
Yeah.